First of all, it is important to understand that people who do not ask for help are not weak, but rather they are often the ones who appear the strongest. They are the same people who listen to everyone's pain, who are there for everyone, and who stand like a strong pillar of support in everyone's life. But when their turn comes, they build a wall around themselves, and what is behind that wall? That is what we will understand today. In psychology, this is called the self-reliance pattern. This is a nature where a person molds themselves in such a way that they do not need anyone, but this nature does not develop suddenly. It is formed from all those moments that this person has endured in their life. Every moment that taught them not to express their needs becomes another layer of this nature. The first and deepest reason is the response received in childhood. When we are children, we naturally ask for help. We cry and express that we need something. But if at that time we heard, "Stop crying, nobody cries over such a small thing, you have grown up, handle it yourself," then our brain learns a lesson. That lesson is that expressing a need is wrong, that asking for help is a sign of weakness. And once this lesson sits in the mind during childhood, it continues to work the same way even after growing up. That child grows up to become a person who tries to handle everything alone, no matter how overwhelming the circumstances may be. In psychology, this is called emotional suppression. That is, the person suppresses their emotions so deeply that after a point, even they do not know that they are broken from the inside. The second major reason is a past betrayal. Many people asked for help once or twice in their lives. They trusted someone, and that trust was broken. Either their words were not taken seriously, they were judged, or the person they asked for help took advantage of their weakness. That single moment solidified a decision inside them: I will never ask again. And this decision becomes so deep that the person themselves doesn't even know when and why they made it. They just feel that asking for help is not safe. In psychology, this is called betrayal trauma, where the pain of broken trust is so deep that a person becomes afraid to go down that path again. The third reason is the question of identity. For some people, doing everything alone becomes their identity. In their home, in their circle, in their space, everyone knows them as the person who solves every problem on their own. And once this image is built, asking for help feels like breaking their identity. They fear that if they ask for help, people will start looking at them differently. They will become a weak person instead of a strong one, at least in the eyes of others, and this fear keeps them quiet. Every night when they are sitting alone fighting their pain, it is this fear that keeps their mouths shut. What you have understood so far were just the reasons that give birth to this nature. But the real question is how this nature hollows out that person's life from the inside, and why they can never feel it themselves. It is important to know this, because from here, the psychology gets even deeper. The fourth reason is the fear of being a burden. This sounds very simple, but it is the biggest pain for those who do not ask for help. They do not think, "I don't need help." They think, "I don't want to be a burden on anyone." The belief is very deep in their hearts that their pain will put a responsibility on others, that their sorrow will make someone else's life heavy. And that is why they keep smiling. They keep saying everything is fine. They listen to others' troubles and make time for them, but when it comes to themselves, they just change the topic. In psychology, this is called hyperindependence, and this is not a strength. This is a wound that takes the form of strength. The fifth reason is the need for control. Many of those who do not ask for help are deeply afraid of the thought that if they ask someone for help, the outcome will no longer be in their hands. They want everything to be in their control. When they do the work themselves, they feel confident. When they depend on someone else, they feel anxious. This anxiety actually comes from those deep moments when life went out of their control. In psychology, this is called control as a coping mechanism, meaning that person assumes that if everything is in their hands, they will not get hurt. But the reality is that in this mindset, they end up making themselves even more lonely. The sixth reason is the habit of imbalance in relationships. People who do not ask for help often stay in relationships where they are always the givers. They are the ones who are present for everyone and fulfill everyone's needs. But when their turn comes, they back away, because they do not know how to receive. They have only been taught to give, and this very imbalance slowly exhausts them. They get tired, but they don't tell. They break, but they don't show it. And one day, they either completely distance themselves from relationships or become so lonely that from the outside, their life looks perfectly fine, but from the inside, they are empty. A very important point needs to be understood here. It is often assumed about people who do not ask for help that they are very strong and that nothing affects them. But the truth is that they are exhausted. They are like a person who has walked a very long distance carrying a very heavy burden and hasn't found a place to stop. Their need is not for someone to tell them, "You are strong." Their need is for someone to ask them, "How are you, really?" And until they learn for themselves that expressing a need is not a weakness, they continue to live with this exhaustion. Psychology says, a person doesn't become lonely on their own. They are made lonely by those moments, those responses, and those wounds they endured when they were most in need. And the people who cannot ask for help today are actually the ones who have suffered the most pain alone. If you are like this, then know that asking for help is not a weakness. It is the greatest courage of a person who accepts that they too are human, and a human needs another human. And if there is such a person in your life, do not judge them. Go to them. Ask them, because they are not waiting for you, but perhaps they need you the most. But after all this, there is another truth that is the hardest to accept, and that truth is that no matter how strong you are, you cannot do everything alone. Nature never designed humans to fight every battle on their own. When you let down your walls, you are not being weak, but rather, you are lightening a burden that perhaps was never in your fate to carry alone. This journey is not easy. Convincing yourself that it is safe to ask for help takes a lot of time. It is scary too. But think about it once. If you can endure that deep pain alone for so many years, then you can also face that small fear that comes from asking for help. Today, and right now, just take a small step. Tell yourself that I do not need to look strong like a rock all the time. My exhaustion is real, and I have every right to stop for a moment and rest. And most importantly, I have every right to just be a normal human being. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you are the person who always gives and never asks, remember that you deserve the exact same support you so freely offer to others. Dropping the walls you've built takes time, but reaching out is the first step toward true healing. Be kind to yourself today.